Hello my dear students. So welcome back to the another lecture of an three-phase induction motor that is called a stator equivalent circuit diagram of an induction motor. In the last lecture we had been seen that how to draw the rotor equivalent circuit diagram of any three-phase induction motor. So in this lecture we will talk about the stator equivalent circuit diagram, and also we will discuss about the parameters of the stator side of an equivalent circuit. Right. So let us start our today's discussion, that is stator equivalent circuit diagram. Okay. So first of all, we have to know the induced EMF of the rotor side and induced EMF of the stator side. We have to know the expressions of the induced EMF of the stator side and rotor side of an induction motor. So the expressions of the induced EMF here is represented by E1. This is called E1, is represented the induced EMF of the stator side of the three-phase induction motor. So the expressions of the induced EMF E1 is 4.44 F into N1 phi m kW1. F is called a supply frequency, or we can say that the stator frequency. Here N1 is called the number of turns of the stator winding, and phi m is called the maximum flux, and kW1 is called a winding factor of the stator side. So in this expression the important term is called a maximum flux. So how can we calculate the maximum flux of an induction motor? We can calculate the maximum flux of an induction motor by the multiplications of the average flux density and area per pole. So how to calculate the average flux density? By the expressions of 2 by pi Vm. Vm is called the maximum flux density. And what about the area per pole? Area per pole can be is to be calculated by the expressions of pi into d into L by P. Here d is nothing but diameter of the stator, L is called the axial length of the stator, and P is called the number of poles. So finally we know the expressions and we have a idea about the maximum flux, that how can we calculate the maximum flux of an three-phase induction motor. So how can we calculate the maximum flux of an induction motor? Just remember these expressions. This is the very important expressions. This is the very important expressions of calculating the maximum flux of an any induction motor, or you can say that of any induction of any AC machines, including synchronous machines or induction machines, transformer, like that. Now next is the EMF expressions of the rotor winding is what? Is 4.44 F into N2 phi m kW2. This EMF equations is for the standstill conditions of the rotor winding. What is the conditions of the standstill? What is called standstill conditions? Standstill conditions means the rotor is not rotated at any RPM, and in that conditions the frequency is not scaled by a factor of slip, because in that case the rotor frequency is always equals to the stator frequency, and rotor frequency, the expression rotor frequency is always scaled by a factor of slip. But in case of a standstill condition, slip always becomes a 1 because of the rotor speed is 0. So that's why in case of standstill conditions, the frequency we have to use the frequency as a supply frequency, right? So let us consider the EMF expressions of the stator side is 1, and let us consider the EMF equations of the rotor side of the standstill condition is 2. When we are going to divide the equation 2 by equation 1, then it will come out to be N2 into Kw2 upon N1 into Kw1. So this whole term is to be written as Ne2 and Ne1, right? Ne is nothing but it is called the effective number of turns, right, which is the product of the number of turns of the winding and winding factors, right? Now ultimately the ratio of the induced EMF of the stator side and rotor side is equals to the ratio of the number of turns of the stator winding and rotor winding. That is also called the transformation ratio. Now let us move on the MMF balancing. We know how to calculate the MMF of the stator winding and rotor of any winding. Okay, MMF is to be calculated by the multiplications of the number of turns of the winding and current flowing through that winding. Okay, so the simple formula of the MMF is Ni, where Ni is called the number of turns of the winding and I is called the current flowing through the winding. While balancing the MMF of a stator and the rotor winding, instead of using number of turns in each winding, we make use of effective number of turns, right? So how can we balancing the MMF of an induction motor? See here on the left hand side of this equation shown the MMF of the stator side, because anyone is nothing but the effective number of turns of the stator winding, and I1 is called the current flowing through the stator winding, okay, which will be equal to the MMF of the rotor winding plus MMF of the no load current, right? No load current means which is comes from the coal losses, right? So this is how to write the MMF equations of the induction motor, right? This left hand side, this represented the MMF of the stator side, and this represents the MMF of the rotor side, and plus this represents the MMF of the no load. Okay, because in case of any machines there is some loss occur, and one loss is always be a constant in your AC machines, that is called no load loss or the no load current. So when no load current is flowing through the winding of the stator, okay, in that case we will take the MMF equations as a Ne1 into I0 bar. Now next is, when we are going to divide the Ne1 both the side, then I1 bar currents becomes Ne2 into I2 bar by Ne1 plus I0 bar. Now similar to transformer in an induction machines, okay, the no load current is composed of two currents. The no load current consists of two currents. One is called a current to supply coal loss, right? This is the current. I0 is what? I0 is nothing but the current to supply coal loss, okay, and magnetizing current, right? And magnetizing current. This is the two important current of the no load current in case of a transformer and in case of a induction machine. Now let's have a look at the circuit diagram of the stator side of an induction motor. See here, V1 is nothing but supply voltage, and whatever the current is taken from this supply voltage, that current is called a stator current, and which is represented by I1 here. R1 is called a stator resistance, X1 is called a leakage reactance of the stator side of an induction motor. Here I0 is nothing but no load current, right? I0 is no load current, which composed of two currents. One is called supply current to the core loss, and another one is called a magnetizing current. And I1, the current which is flowing through the winding of the stator side. This is how stator equivalent circuit look like, right? Now here the parameter is used R1, X1, XM and RC. Here R1 is nothing but stator winding resistance, X1 is nothing but stator leakage reactance, and XM is called a magnet. No, this is not a magnetizing current. This is actually magnetic. This is actually magnetic leakage reactance, not leakage reactance, magnetizing reactance. Magnetizing reactance. The magnetizing current here, the magnetizing current is I mu, right? Now RC is called a core loss resistance. Okay, now in case when we are going to compare between the transformer and induction machines on the aspects of magnetizing current. So in case of transformer, there is no air gap exists between the primary and secondary winding, and in case of an induction machine, there is some air gap exists in between the stator and rotor. So in case of a transformer, the whatever the magnetizing current drawn from the supply, that should be low as compared to the magnetizing current of the induction machines, because in case of an induction machines, due to air gap, the magnetizing current drawn by the stator must be higher, right? So one important point is that the magnetizing current of an induction motor must be higher as compared to the magnetizing current drawn by the transformer. Is it clear? Now what happened, the magnetizing current is much higher than the core loss current. So usually we ignore core loss resistance and only consider magnetizing reactance in the shunt branch. Is it clear? Now again, on when we are comparing between the induction motor and transformer on the aspects of magnetizing reactance. So in case of induction motor, the magnetizing reactance is much as less as compared to magnetizing reactance of a transformer. Okay, because in case of induction motor, the magnetizing current is must be higher. When magnetizing current must be higher, then automatically your magnetizing reactance will be less as compared to the magnetizing reactance of a transformer. Now we have very much familiar with the rotor equivalent circuit of an induction motor. This is how rotor equivalent circuit look like, which had been seen in our last lecture. So there are two types of circuits can be drawn in case of rotor equivalent circuit diagram. One diagram, in this case the circuit 1, in the case of circuit 1, the rotor induced EMF and leakage reactance of rotor side, both are scaled by a factor of S. But in case of a circuit, this circuit can be drawn like this. In that case, the resistance becomes a function of slip, and rotor induced EMF and leakage reactance of the rotor side is independent of the slip S. Is not scaled. Independent means not scaled by a factor of S. But generally we consider this circuit to for calculating the mechanically power developed and losses and air gap power. Is it clear? Now the physical meaning of first rotor equivalent circuit is that the rotor frequency is SF, due to which a factor of slip appeared in EMF as well as reactance, but in the second circuit there is no factor of slip in EMF and reactance, which means the frequency of the rotor in the second circuit is taken as F instead of SF. Now what happened in a transformer? In a transformer, the transformer means what? Transformer is a static device in which we can convert from one electrical power to another electrical power without changing frequency. In transformer, the primary frequency and secondary side frequency, both are same. But in case of a induction motor, the stator side frequency and rotor side frequency, both are unequal. Okay. So we cannot apply transformer principle directly to an induction because of the different frequency of the primary and secondary side. But we have to make the rotor frequency equal to stator frequency in order to treat the induction machine as a transformer. So that's why in order to induction machine is treated as a transformer, generally we consider the circuit 2, because in that case the induced EMF and leakage reactance of the rotor side is not a part of a slip S, right? So we can apply the transformer principle to the second circuit. Now the important question is that if both the rotor equivalent circuit are identical, then why is the real power in both the circuit unequal? So the number one reason is that based on the frequency is used in the two circuit, we can observe that frame of reference for first circuit is rotor, whereas the frame of reference for second circuit is stator. First circuit, we observe that the reference for first circuit is rotor. Second circuit is stator. It is clear? Now, if the frame of reference is rotor, we cannot observe the rotor rotations. But if the frame of reference is stator, we can observe the rotor rotations. So that's why we have to be prefer the circuit 2 as compared to the circuit 1, because when we observe the rotor rotation, then our frame of reference is always via stator, okay, not a rotor. So when frame of reference is rotor, the mechanical power is 0, because the rotor appears to be stationary, and hence the net power input corresponds to the rotor copper loss. But when frame of reference is stator, the net power input is equal to the sum of rotor copper loss and mechanical power developed, because from the stator the rotation of rotor can be observed. So that's why we generally consider the circuit 2, because in that case we can observe the rotor rotations and we can observe the copper loss and mechanical power developed if the frame of reference is the stator, right? Now this is the complete circuit diagram of an 3-phase induction motor. Okay, on the left side On the left side of this circuit is called a stator side, and right side is called a rotor side, and NE1 and NE2 is called the turns ratios. Is it clear now? Now here now let us try to understand the circuit diagram of the complete three-phase induction motor. Now here V1 is called the supply voltage, and whatever the power is taken from the supply voltage is called the input power, and the current which is flow due to the supply voltage, that is called the stator current. And the stator current, when stator current is flowing through the resistance, then it dissipates the energy in the form of heating resistance, then it will gives the copper losses, which is called a stator copper losses, and stator copper losses is calculated by I1 square into R1. Right now the next part is when current is now current is composed of two currents. One is called rotor side currents, and another one is called a no load current. Now again, no load current is composed of two currents. One is called the supply to core losses, and another current is called the magnetizing current. So in that case, the RC dissipates the energy in the form of heating resistance, so it will give the stator core loss. Right now again, now this rotor side circuit is referred to stator side here, so that's why I1 dash x2 dash is nothing but it is called the rotor side reactance referred to stator side, R2 dash. So how can we calculate the x2 dash rotor side referred to stator side? It can be calculated by this x2 into transformation ratios square. In similar manner, R2 dash can be calculated by the expressions of R2 into transformation ratios square. Is it clear? Now the PAG air gap power is represented by PAG. PAG means what? The power is flowing from stator to rotor, that is called a air gap power, and whatever the power is occur at the rotor end of the induction motor, that is called the air gap power. Right now the air gap power, and when we are subtracting the rotor copper losses from the air gap power, then it will give the value of the mechanically developed power. So this is now this red portions of the circuit can be used instead of this blue portion of the circuit. Both are same, either you can use this circuit or you can use this circuit, but always we used this red portion of the circuit, because in that circuit we can easily observe the rotor copper losses, and we can easily predict the mechanically developed power. Right, so the air gap power, the power which is across the resistance R2 dash by S is called the air gap power, and the losses occur at the rotor side, at the rotor sides of the resistance, at the resistance of the rotor side, that is called rotor copper losses. And when we are subtracting the rotor copper losses from the air gap power, here when we are subtracting the rotor copper losses from the air gap power, then it will give the mechanically developed power. So in this case, the air gap power is across the R2 dash by S, rotor copper losses is across the R2 dash, and the mechanically developed power is across the R2 dash into 1 by S minus 1. Right, this is how can we express the circuit of an induction motor. Now we generally ignore the core losses in the rotor. So there are two types of core losses. One is called the hysteresis losses and another one is called the eddy current losses. So hysteresis losses is proportional to the frequency square and eddy current losses is always proportional to the square of the frequency. We know that rotor frequency is always scaled by a factor of slip s, and that is less than the supply frequency or stator frequency. So we can easily say that the rotor core loss, the core loss of the rotor side is less than the core loss of the stator side, right? Now the power across the resistance R2 dash gives rotor copper loss, and hence the power across the remaining resistance gives mechanically developed power. See here, the power across the resistance R2 dash gives the rotor copper losses, and the remaining resistance means we will talk about the R2. We talk about the R2 dash into 1 by S minus 1. So the power, whatever the power is appearing across the resistance R2 dash into 1 by S minus 1, that is called a mechanically developed power. So this is all about the equivalent circuit diagram of an 3-phase induction motor. Okay, I hope you are understanding the equivalent circuit diagram of an rotor side and stator side, and how to draw the equivalent circuit diagram of a 3-phase induction motor, right? If anyone have any comment, if anyone have any doubt in this lecture, so you can comment on the comment sections, right?